One of the definitions of manipulation is to adapt or change to suit one's purpose or advantage. I love that definition because manipulation can be a young gay or young trans best friend. There was a guy in high school. His name was Eric. And he looked like a light-skinned monkey. That's the best way that I can describe him. He was attractive. He just had really full lips, wide nose. He was light-skinned. He was really cocky. He just looked like a beast. But that was so sexy to me. I met him my sophomore year in our, I don't know if you guys had this, but in our high school, we had a class. It wasn't a class where you had tests and stuff like that. It was just it was a class that you would go to right before lunch. And when the bell rang, it was time for your group to go to lunch. Was it study hall? I can't remember. Anyway, so he was in my study hall class. Ironically, this is the same class that Kiki Wyatt, my cuz, was in as well. And as we all know, Kiki is gorgeous and she could sing. So for the same reasons that I loved her, other people loved her. And, you know, Eric was one of those people that lived for her. But she paid him ultimate dust. Anyway, because of this crush that I had on Eric, I would do things. Like, I would purposely do things. And I've heard about people doing this. And, you know, the human experience is so similar with each individual. If you just pay attention. You know, any type of interaction that could take place between me and him, I cherished it and I created it and everything. Whatever way, you know, like if you've ever had a crush on somebody, you know the feeling, how just them walking past and saying hi to you is like a fucking, just a moment to celebrate that you're going to be thinking about for the rest of the day. Oh, he said hi to me. So, you know how a crush is. Now, when it comes to a gay person or a trans person, a crush can be difficult because sexual orientations are different. And this crush, you know, if it's a crush, in a heteronormative world, in a heteronormative world, if it's a guy that has a crush on a girl, if she doesn't like him, it's just kind of a little awkward. It's like, oh no, you're not my type, da, 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 da. Or vice versa, if the girl has a crush on the guy, but it can, if a gay guy has a crush on a straight guy, it can cause a problem and be, the straight guy might have to, you know, protect his reputation, all that kind of stuff, and vice versa. It just can get difficult when it comes to the LGBT thing, the sexual orientation thing. I would create moments where I would change how I would go to my next class. Do I go this way? Do I go this way? Which way is Eric walking down the hallway? When is his next class? How do I find out his next class so I can see which is the most likely way for me to walk to bump into him? And these were things that I would be doing. If I knew he was in a detention, I'll probably do something in my current class to go to detention. Be late, on purpose just so I can go to detentions because I know he's in there. If I knew he was skipping school and going across to the Devington Plaza, I would skip school with friends, girls that he was liking. I would become friends with them, so I would be around him and them. I just would do things. It was some stalker ass shit, but that's what you do. That's what you do when you have a crush on someone. Looking back on it, it's like, oh, but you know, that's what you do when you have a crush on somebody. So I cherish those little moments. I cherish those, seeing him walk down the hallway, seeing him interact with people. You know, my imagination and just the will of wanting something to be there. I think it created it, that imagination that I was talking about previously willed it to happen. So one night we had a choir event. We were in the gospel choir together. And one night we had an event, and at the end of the event, while everybody was going home, headed home, there was only 4 people left to be picked up by their parents. 2 girls, me and Eric. The choir director pulled up to the front of the school. We all were waiting in front of the school, waiting for our parents. Now, I had my own apartment at 17, so I wasn't waiting on my parents. I was enjoying the moment of interaction with Eric. So the 2 girls were waiting on their parents. So the choir director was like, everybody got a ride home? And we all said, yes, we're just waiting on them. He was like, well, Eric, you stay here with the girls and don't leave until their parents come pick them up. Because Eric lived up the street. He only lived like 6 blocks away. So he wasn't really waiting on the ride. He was just kind of waiting for everybody to get picked up, and then he was going to just walk home. So the choir director left. So it's all 4 of us just sitting there chilling, laughing, joking, talking, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just enjoying this interaction. So the girls' parents picks them up, one within 5 minutes of each other. So it's just me and Eric now. And Eric was like, well, how are you getting home? I said, oh, I was catching the bus. And he was like, oh, when does your bus come? I said, it comes at 11:45. He was like, oh, well, I'll just walk you to the bus stop and then I'll just walk home. And I was like, oh, okay. But what Eric didn't know is that I was adapting and changing things to suit my purpose and advantage. My bus did not come at 11:45. My bus came at 11:20. So we've already missed the bus by the time we leave the school to go to the bus stop to catch it at 11:45. So while we're standing there on the bus stop, I take this moment to adapt and change to suit my purpose and advantage and have a wonderful discussion with Eric about my crush. Now, I'm talking to Eric about my crush, but I'm not you. Eric is my crush, but because I have to figure out where he is at, I use somebody else. Now, the other person, his name is Ray. Now, I do have a little crush on Ray, too, because Ray is gorgeous, but I have more of a crush on Eric. So I'm telling Eric about how, oh my God, I have this big old crush on Ray. And he was like, really? And I was like, yes, but I know he's not gay. And I just don't know how to deal with it. What would you do? Do you think he would get mad if I tell him that I was attracted to him? And he's like, oh no, I don't think that'd be super, super weird. I was like, it'll be weird. And he was like, yeah, now mind you, this is a 16-year-old and a 16-year-old talking to each other. And he was like, it'll be super, super weird because he's not gay. You feel what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, and I was like, well, what would you do if somebody came to you on that level? And he was like, well, I'm not gay. So that's what I'm saying. As a straight dude, I just think that's weird. Like, you don't know how to react to it because it's super, super weird. And I was like, what's weird about it? And he's like, it's just, man, straight dudes like girls. So how are we gonna, we can't look at no other dude like that. And I'm like, but I'm not just a regular dude. Look at me. I was like, I basically, he was like, well, I don't think of you kind of like a dude, but I know you a dude. So it's kind of like, I don't think of you like a dude, and I don't interact with you like a dude, but I know you a dude, and that's gay. I was like, yeah, I guess it would be gay, but I don't know. I don't even know what to do. It's just a super sad situation. But I really, really like him. And, I don't know what to do. And so, I'm pulling on his heartstrings. And he's like, why do you like him though? And I was like, cause he's just so fine. And he got a body. He's just, he's so fine. But, I guess, I don't really know. And he was like, but, man, Ray kind of ugly though. And I was like, no, he's not. He's cute. And he was like, nah, that nigga kind of ugly though. And I'm like, you have to wonder, when you are talking about a person, and the person you talk to is kind of dissing them, why are you dissing this person? If I think he's attractive, he's attractive. To me. It doesn't matter about you. It don't matter about you thinking he's ugly. What are you trying to tell me? So, the conversation leads to him. I kind of used to have a crush on you too, but you start getting real cool, so I kind of look at you like a brother. And he was like, oh yeah? He was like, oh, why did you have a crush on me? I was like, cuz you got a body too. A little bit. He's like, I got more of a body than Ray. And he starts showing his muscles. And I was like, yeah, but, you kind of goofy. And you like a brother or something. I was like, it's hard to have a crush on you. He was like, well, it's cool, but I ain't gay though, so it don't matter if you don't like me, nigga. Okay. So by the time we're talking, when we're waiting on the bus and it wasn't coming, he was like, well, this bus ain't coming. I was like, man, we must have missed it. And he was like, well, let's go to my grandmother's house and she'll drive you home. I was like, oh, okay, cute. So we still continuing our conversation and we're walking to grandmother's house. When we get there, we knock on the door and his grandmother's open. And he was like, oh, what y'all doing out here so late? And we told her. And of course, immediately when I'm interacting with her, she clocks that I'm gay. And so she looks like, and of course I visualize the shade that's coming from her. Not shade, but her clocking. And I was like, yeah, I'm gay. And she was like, oh, okay. And she was like, are you Eric? What's going on with you? And Eric was like, oh no, I'm not gay. He was like, this is my friend from school. We had a choir, I told you we just had a choir class together, a choir event together. And he got stranded from school. And, we want to know if you would take him home. And his grandmother was like, oh, baby, I'm not about to put my clothes on and go all the way out there. You can spend the night and I'll take you home in the morning. So, even better. Because now I'm spending the night with Eric. Life is good at that moment. That imagination and that just willing this to happen, it was happening. So we're in his grandmother's den. She fixed us some food, just like a classic grandmother. She fixed us some food and brings it to the den, and we're eating our sandwiches and drinking our Kool-Aid, and we're watching TV. And there's 2 lazy boys that we are sitting in. And so our conversation continues. He starts to ask me, what all have I done with another dude? Like the gay sex questions. Like, so you be sucking dick and stuff? Mm-hmm. So you let somebody stick it in your booty? Don't that hurt? I've only did it one time. And it felt good. So, now the curiosity is piqued, and he's just asking me questions about it. And when was the first time you did it? And who was it? Have you messed with anybody that I know? And blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, I haven't. And I told you I had a crush on you, and I wanted to do you, but you like I said, I think of you kind of like my brother now. And he was like, oh, so you wanted to suck me up. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, So he eats a bite of his sandwich, and I eat a bite of my sandwich, and we watching TV. And so now we're talking about the TV. Whatever's on the TV, I can't remember. So, you didn't want to do it anymore? What you mean? You wouldn't want to suck it if I let you suck it? I don't know. Do you want me to? I don't know. Can you do it good? I think so. So if I get up and pull it out, you will suck it. Maybe. So he gets up out of his lazy boy and stands in front of my lazy boy. And he pulls his basketball shorts down to where his dick hairs are showing. But I see his meat hard in the shorts. I say, please pull it out, please. Please pull it out. That's what I'm saying in my mind. And so he's not pulling out. He's like, nah, I can't even do it. I feel super gay after I do that. I feel super gay. And he sits back down. Then he gets back up like he's about to do it again. And so he sits back down. Then gets back up like he's about to do it again. I'm like, oh boy, girl, you just playing games. Pull that dick out. I don't say this, but that's in my mind. So he gets up. He says, nah, I can't even do it. And he leaves the den and goes upstairs. So I had been at school all day and we had the choir event. Bitch, I'm sleepy. So in the lazy boy, I recline and take my ass right to sleep. When I woke up, I had a cover on me and his grandmother was saying, all right, baby, come on, get up, brush your teeth. And, I'm going to take you home. Great. So she goes out and starts the car. And she comes back in. She's, all right, y'all, go get in the car. So me and Eric go get in the car. Eric get in the front passenger seat and I get in the back. So before his grandmother gets in the car, he turns around. He turns around to the seat. And he is like, man, why you go to sleep? I was going to let you hook me up. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, man, I went upstairs and took a shower and came back down and your ass was asleep. I was going to let you hook me up. And I was like, hook you up? He was like, suck me up. Hook me up. I was like, oh. Why you didn't tell me you was going upstairs to take a shower? I would have stayed woke. And he was like, I didn't think you was going to fall asleep on me. He was like, well, maybe it wasn't meant for us to do it. And I was like, oh, you should have woke me up. And he was like, oh. And we started busting out laughing. So, that was Friday night. Monday morning, we go back to school and I see him. And in the hallway, I say, this is in front of everybody because nobody knew what happened Friday night. Nobody. Because it was just me. So in the hallway, I say, so, when you gonna let me hook you up? And he started laughing. He was like, shit, come on right now. I was like, come on. And he was like, nah. And so from that point on, our interaction was sexual. It was no longer innocent. Hey, what's up? From that point on, he would make a reference to me hooking him up. And we could talk about getting hooked up at any time because nobody knew what we were talking about. We could be sitting talking about something else. He's like, yeah, I'm always trying to get hooked up. And look at me. Because I know what our hookup is that. So it was my crush and imagination and me manipulating that situation led to a sexual friendship between us that I knew eventually we were going to have each other. I knew it.